Final game to highlight here in week one is the Sunday night clash between LSU and Florida State. And this one should be an absolute classic. It was last year, came down to Florida State blocking an extra point to send the Tigers home in a rather grumpy mood. It obviously didn't ruin their season. LSU then goes on to go 10-2, and they win the SEC West crown before getting throttled by Georgia. But a lot of positives that LSU took away from last season. Florida State also did the same. They didn't compete for a conference title, but they have the most returning production per ESPN. They've got Jordan Travis at quarterback, who this could be kind of a dark horse Heisman season for him. They've got Jared Verse, who's rushing the passer. Would have been a first round draft selection off the edge this last year had he come out. He decides to come back for one more season in Tallahassee. Look, you guys know that the portfolio with Knowles Coin is doing good right now. So I'm really looking forward to this game. LSU has the early line -2.5, but I think no matter which way this game goes, like this might be the Sharpie, take the wives, take the kids out, to do something fun on Sunday afternoon, so that Sunday evening comes, you're sitting in front of the TV with your favorite takeout.
Absolutely. This is by no all doubt, remove all doubt, this is the headliner of week one. And I love that it's a standalone game on Sunday night because we get to see, two of the most electric quarterbacks in the whole country going toe to toe with Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis. Both of these guys, after week one, last year when these two teams faced off and it was such a thriller. It wasn't a pretty thriller, though. I think there were a lot of questions about the offenses, both of these offenses and both of these quarterbacks after week one last year. Lots of big defensive plays, lots of athletic plays made all over the field, but it wasn't necessarily a pretty, aesthetically pleasing thriller game. I'll leave it at that. But, this one being played in Orlando, neutral site on paper, I think the crowd will probably be pretty close to 50-50. LSU travels amazingly well, especially for big neutral site games like this. And Florida State's, of course, right around the corner in Tallahassee. So crowd may or may not be a factor. Florida State traveled pretty well to that game in New Orleans last
They
year
did.
as well. Of course, it was a glorified LSU home game, but Florida State did show up and did bring a lot of fans. So I don't know. This is going to set the tone. It's not going to ruin either team's season, but it's certainly going to set the tone. I think there's going to be a lot of questions asked, rightfully so, on whoever loses this game. LSU, to me, could lose this game and still rebound and go to the college football playoff. I don't know if that's true for Florida State. I don't know that they would have the resume coming out of the ACC, even if they did go 11-1 or 12-1 with an ACC championship. We're getting way too ahead of ourselves with prognosticating that, but it'd be really interesting to see if Florida State could get in without winning this game.
Yeah, I certainly think the Knowles need this one more than LSU needs this one. But with that being said, I also think this is going to be, just like last year, one of the best games of the year. I think last year this ended up being instant classic. People are going to talk about this one for a long time. I think we'll probably have a similar story here. I don't necessarily think it'll come down to a missing an extra point type of situation. I wouldn't call that, but I do think there'll be some drama. There'll be some heroic moments. But if you ask me what's going to end up happening in this one, I think that you're going to have to look at the run game in this one to separate because the quarterbacks are so close. And in that, I'm going to give the edge to Florida State. One, because Trey Benson's a fantastic running back. And two, because LSU was not very good against the run last year. Their defense was great against the pass, rushed the passer extremely well, but was a little undersized in the linebacking core, a little undersized up front in the middle. And so I think that unless they can find a way to fix that in a hurry week one, yeah, things are going to look a little different this year in terms of controlling the ball for Florida State. I do think they'll be able to have a lot of success on the ground. And I think this one probably goes the way of the Knowles. I think if you just had to make me pick, I'd pick that way now. But with that being said, I mean, this is about as dead even as you can get on both sides. I mean, both teams are extremely close. Both teams look very similar in their makeup. I wouldn't necessarily say there's a coaching edge on either side. I know Brian Kelly's really established, but Norvell's doing great things at Florida State, and I think he knows his team about as well as anybody can know their team. And so I think this is a very good game. I think this is probably going to be one of the best games that we see all season. And my favorite thing is it doesn't compete, unless I'm reading this wrong, it doesn't compete against the NFL because they don't start till the week after.
It's the week after. Yeah.
You're going to get to put your full attention on this one. Eyes of the Nation coming down, and I think it's going to not fail to disappoint us here. It's going to be a great game.
Gracious, power